Hello there. This is Heirs to the Kingdom channel. And in today's lesson, we're doing chapter 27 of Matthew. If you are new to this, it's a Bible study channel going through the KJV Bible. I do recommend starting off at Genesis chapter 1 and getting caught up. We've already did the Old Testament, and now we've started the New Testament. And we're almost done with the first book of New Testament, Matthew. Now, yesterday, with 26, we left off that Jesus was betrayed. The priests and elders chose to say that he was committing blasphemy and sentenced him to death. And that's where we left off at. He was beaten a little bit, made fun of, and Peter denied him thrice before the cock crowed. And so now, there's 60-something verses, so I'm just going to go ahead and just get started into the reading. Some things we remember as they were called prophecies in Old Testament. We've went over those, and we talked about those a little bit from time to time. So if you've been following along, some of you will remember the areas and some of you may not. It's easy to Google them to find out where they're at in the Old Testament. So let's go ahead and get started here with chapter 27, verse 1. When the morning was come, all the chief priests and elders of the people took counsel against Jesus to put him to death. And when they had bound him, they led him away and delivered him to Pontius Pilate, the governor. Now, even though they want to put him to death, they're not allowed to because Rome is ruling the area. So, of course, Pontius Pilate works for Rome. He's the governor of the area. They have to get him to do this. There's not too much details in the Matthew version of the crucifixion because they skip the part where he's sent to one area because he's from that area to that leader, and he gets sent back to Pontius Pilate. They kind of like play tennis with him, with Jesus a little bit. Now, we know Pontius Pilate chooses to sentence Jesus to be crucified. What's not mentioned here in the Matthew version of, laying out of the crucifixion, what happened to Christ is, Pontius Pilate sends him to be scourged first and says, this should suffice the people. But he pretty much does what the people want so that they will not riot, because it looks bad to Rome, to Caesar of Rome, that one of the governors could not control an area. That's kind of left out of this one. So, but we will be reading that more in the others' disciples, scriptures of the crucifixion of Christ. Let's continue on here, verse 3. Then Judas, which had betrayed him, when he saw that he was condemned, repented himself and brought again the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and elders, saying, I have sinned in that I have betrayed the innocent blood. And they said, What is that to us? See thou to that. So, here it is, one person saying, hey, I betrayed him. He's innocent. And he's like, that's no concern to us. They got what they wanted, which is to stay in power. That's all they really wanted, was to keep their money coming in and their fancy life coming in. The true words of God is irrelevant to these type of people. They just like to have the title and the money and the power that comes with that title. That's all they really wanted. They never wanted to be righteous or godly. Let's continue on here, verse 5. And he cast down the pieces of silver in the temple and departed, and went and hanged himself. And the chief priest took the silver pieces and said, It is not lawful to put them into the treasury, because it is the price of blood. So they're automatically admitting that they did wrong, because they used this money so that they could sentence someone to death. They didn't care about being just or right. I've already mentioned this, but as we're reading here, they knew what they were doing was wrong and didn't care. Well, let's continue on here, verse 7. And they took counsel and bought with them the potter's field to bury strangers in. Wherefore that field was called the field of blood unto this day. Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremy the prophet, saying, And they took the 30 pieces of silver, the price of him that was valued, whom they of the children of Israel did value, and gave them for the potter's field, as the Lord appointed me. So this is a prophecy that was fulfilled that Jesus had no control over. But it happened anyways. Verse 11. And Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, saying, Art thou the King of the Jews? And Jesus said unto him, Thou sayest. And when he was accused of the chief priests and elders, he answered nothing. Then said Pilate unto him, Hearest thou not how many things they witness against thee? And he answered him to never a word, insomuch that the governor marveled greatly. Now at that feast the governor was wont to release unto the people a prisoner whom they would. And they had then a notable prisoner called Barabbas. Therefore, when they were gathered together, Pilate said unto them, Whom shall ye that I release unto you? Barabbas or Jesus, which is called Christ? For he knew that for envy they had delivered him. So, later on, Pontius Pilate says he washes his hand of this, and that the blood of this man is on the people, not him. But he knows for a fact, it's going to be held against him as well, because he knew for a fact Jesus was innocent, and that they were only doing this because they were jealous. They envied him. They just didn't like him. Is the reason why they were doing this. He knew this and agreed anyway, so he can keep his pretty little seat, his job, his title, and not get in trouble by Caesar. Continue on here, 19. When he was set down on the judgment seat, his wife sent unto him, saying, Have thou nothing to do with that just man, for I have suffered many things this day in a dream because of him. But the chief priests and elders persuaded the multitude that they should ask Barabbas and destroy Jesus. The governor answered and said unto them, Whether of the twain will ye that I release unto you? They said, Barabbas. Pilate saith unto them, What shall I do then with Jesus, which is called Christ? They all say unto him, Let him be crucified. And the governor said, Why? What evil hath he done? But they cried out the more, saying, Let him be crucified. When Pilate saw that he could prevail nothing, but that rather a tumult was made, he took water and washed his hands before the multitude, saying, I am innocent of the blood of this just person. See ye to it. Then answered all the people and said, His blood is on us and on our children. Then released he Barabbas unto them, and when he had scourged Jesus, he delivered him to be crucified. Now, the scourging wasn't part of the original crucifixion. As I was saying, first he sent Jesus to be scourged and brought him back, says the man Jesus, which the other scriptures say he didn't even look like a man anymore. He was beaten so badly. And they still said, crucify him. But, with the scourge happening and everything else is the reason why Jesus died so soon. Because normally the regular crucifixion took days. It was starvation and dying of the elements. No water, no food, and being out in the sun. It was a very slow, painful death. He was dealing in a lot of pain to begin with. And he dealt with even more after his death because he spent 3 days in hell for us to pay the price he didn't want. He wanted to pay for us so that we had an option to not go to hell. But anyways, let's continue on here first. 27. Then the soldiers of the governor took Jesus into the common hall and gathered unto him the whole band of soldiers, and they stripped him and put on him a scarlet robe. And when they had platted a crown of thorns, they put it upon his head, and a reed in his right hand, and they bowed the knee before him and mocked him, saying, Hail, King of the Jews! And they spit upon him and took the reed and smote him on the head. And after that they had mocked him, they took the robe off from him and put his own raiment on him and led him away to crucify him. And as they came out, they found a man of Cyrene, Simon by name. Him they compelled to bear his cross. Now, of course, other parts of the scriptures talk about how Jesus couldn't have the strength to hold the cross anymore. And he collapsed. That's when they found someone else to carry the cross for him because, Jesus couldn't do it anymore. Let's continue on 33. And when they were come unto a place called Golgotha, that is to say, a place of a skull, they gave him vinegar to drink mingled with gall. And when he had tasted thereof, he would not drink. And they crucified him and parted his garments, casting lots, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet. They parted my garments among them, and upon my vesture did they cast lots. And sitting down, they watched him there. And set up over his head his accusation written, This is Jesus, the King of the Jews. Then were there 2 thieves crucified with him, one on the right hand and another on the left. And they that passed by reviled him, wagging their heads, and saying, Thou that destroyest the temple and buildest it in 3 days, save thyself. If thou be the Son of God, come down from the cross. So people always looking for a sign instead of just following Scripture. Continue on here, 41. Likewise also the chief priest, mocking him with the scribes and elders, said, He saved others, himself he cannot save. If he be the King of Israel, let him now come down from the cross, and we will believe him. He trusted in God, let him deliver him now, if he will have him, for he said, I am the Son of God. The thieves also which were crucified with him cast the same in his teeth. Now from the 6th hour there was darkness over all the land unto the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour Jesus cried with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. That is to say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Now, of course, that's Hebrew, and New Testament is mostly not written in Hebrew. It's mostly written in Greek and Arabic, and I think some of it's in Hebrew. But I know Greek and Arabic is most of it, because when Rome took over the area, they was like, no, you're going to use our language. Now, from this point, Jesus has known that his Father in heaven has turned his back on him, because at this time Jesus has taken the sin of the world upon him, and God cannot look upon sin. 47. Some of them that stood there when they heard that said, This man calleth for Elias. And straightway one of them ran and took a sponge and filled it with vinegar and put it on a reed and gave him to drink. The rest said, Let be. Let us see whether Elias will come to save him. Jesus, when he had cried again with a loud voice, yielded up the ghost, which means he passed away. 51. And behold, the veil of the temple was rent in twain from the top to the bottom, and the earth did quake, and the rocks rent. And the graves were opened, and many bodies of the saints which slept arose, and came out of the graves after his resurrection, and went into the holy city, and appeared unto many. Now when the centurion and they that were with him watching Jesus, they saw the earthquake and those things that were done. They feared greatly, saying, Truly this was the Son of God. And many women were there beholding afar off, which followed Jesus from Galilee, ministering unto him. Among which was Mary Magdalene, and Mary the mother of James, which is the brother of Jesus. So this is Jesus' mother on earth. And Joseph, and the mother of Zebedee's children. When the evening was come, there came a rich man of Arimathea, I guess that's how you say it. Arimathea, close enough, named Joseph, who also himself was Jesus' disciple. He went to Pilate and begged the body of Jesus. Then Pilate commanded the body be delivered. And when Joseph had taken the body, he wrapped it in a clean linen cloth, and laid it in his own new tomb, which he had hewn out in the rock. And he rolled a great stone to the door of the sepulchre, and departed. And there was Mary Magdalene and the other Mary sitting over against the sepulchre. Now the next day that followed, the day of the preparation, the chief priests and Pharisees came together unto Pilate, saying, Sir, we remember that deceiver said, while he was yet alive, After 3 days I will rise again. Commanded therefore that the sepulchres be made sure until the 3rd day, lest his disciples come by night and steal him away, and say unto the people, He is risen from the dead. So the last error shall be worse than the first. Pilate said unto them, Ye have a watch. Go your way, make it as sure as ye can. So they went and made the sepulchre sure, sealing the stone and setting a watch. And that's it for this chapter. Pretty straightforward reading there. We get the more of it in the last chapter, which will be tomorrow, unless it's the end of my time here or Jesus returns, and then my tasks will be completed. But until then, this is what God asked me to do, and this is what I will do. Sharing the gospel, doing a Bible study. So, if you will, like, subscribe, and share this content, so we can share it with others. Beat the algorithm so it's promoted in front of other people with, subscribes and likes. That will do that. That way the algorithm itself will share the video with other people that you don't know. But we have to pray about these things. Pray for ourselves, pray for others, pray for the lost, pray for the found. Got to pray every day, all day long about everything. Always pray. Another thing to pray about is making sure we stay worthy of the sacrifice that Jesus made on the cross for us. We have to always pray. Give thanks to the Lord, give praises to the Lord, and pray. He doesn't ask much of us, but He does ask of us. So, let's see. Oh, there's only 20 verses of chapter 28. So the end of Matthew is shorter, quite a bit shorter. Kind of wished I would have known that. I would have added it to this one and went ahead and finished it off. But nonetheless, there'll be more stuff to talk about tomorrow. The title of chapter 28 is called The Resurrection. So, lots of good stuff in there. But yeah, don't forget to pray. But I'm going to go ahead and end this lesson here. So until next time, God bless, good night, and goodbye.